Greetings. Today I want to speak to you concerning the exodus of freedom. You say, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. I'm doing this video because the last denominational church that I would have associated myself with was the Third Exodus Assembly. And they say that they were non-denominational, that they were different. Yet, as I speak to you, the pastor for that church in Trinidad and Tobago, of which they have also a church here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, okay? But the pastor in Trinidad, right now, he's fighting a case whereby he was found with 28,100,000 Trinidad dollars, okay, which he went to the bank to change because they was going to get rid of the old currency, the $100 bills. And then when they saw the church at Londonville, they find 2.6 million in like $50 and $10 and $20 and $5 and so on. Okay, and I'm saying all of this because the name of the church is Third Exodus Assembly, and as I said earlier, they say that they're not denomination, yet he's claiming that the money is tithes and offering. Well, if you're not an organized church or denomination, okay, how is it you're claiming that that is tithes and offering? And if you were not dealing with the bank all the time, why do you find that it is convenient now to deal with the bank? Okay, now I'm saying all of this to lay a foundation to tell you that the exodus of freedom is where you emancipate yourself from all form of mental slavery. When you really understand that the Bible is actually a book of mind science and that it must be interpreted psychologically, you will come to realize that the gospel that they give to the masses is not really the true good spell. That is why they give you the exoteric of the Bible. What do I mean by that? Teachings that keep you always looking on the outside and having you worshiping the image of your slave master. And when you pray to the God of your slave master, which is the image of your slave master, of course, your slave master, God, would not listen to you. But when you reject your slave master, God, and you learn to look within yourself, and every time you look in the mirror, you can see your Lord and your Savior. You can see your Redeemer. You can see the image of God. It will help you to have self-love. It will help you to learn to believe in yourself and to embrace yourself. And that will bring you to the point where you would realize that true salvation is self-realization. You see, you're searching for yourself. Every one of us born in this world in a state of forgetfulness, a state of amnesia. And when preachers quote and say that you're born in sin and shaped in iniquity, sin is ignorance. Ignorance of knowing who you are. You see, there's only one fundamental sin in this world. The sin of not knowing who you are, or the ignorance. Okay, so everyone who's going to some form of religious gathering, it is because they are searching for something. Okay, but my message is that the kingdom of God is within you. My message is that the phenomena of life is within you. My message is that true salvation is self-realization. And if you're willing to unlearn and relearn, and you're willing to reprogram your subconscious mind, I can guarantee you that you'll prove everything that I'm saying. Because what I'm saying is not based on theory. There are practical things that I give you to do, and once you do those practical things, your life will change tremendously, and you will prove for yourself that imagination do create reality, and the God in man is man's awareness of being, man's imagination. Everything is happening in your consciousness. That's where everything is happening. So if in your consciousness you hold a program of a man who existed 2,000 years ago with blonde hair and blue eye, or you believe that there's some man somewhere in the Middle East instead of Africa, and you're a melanated person and you do not know anything about Mesopotamia, you don't know anything about the Nile Valley, you haven't listened to any of your ancestors, you haven't listened to anyone like people like John Henry Clark and so on, Dr. Ben and so on, and many people who have brought, the history of who we are to us so we could understand the Bible on another level. You will not be able to get out of the box, the paradigm that you've been kept in. That is why when the pastor for the Third Exodus Assembly in Trinidad was speaking the very night the police was in the church, gathering the rest money and counting the rest money, he, as usual, used to always bash his congregation. Nobody could have questioned him. I used to listen to him saying, "Man, I want to question this," and all of that. So he used to have a complex with anybody who questioned him, right? He has some people who are, man, not some. Most preachers, they're pulpit bullies, okay, because they use the pulpit to blast their people and to throw word at them and so on, and to instill fear and so on, and guilt and shame and condemnation in them. I've had many experiences like that with church folks, okay. So once they subject you to that, it's hard for you to escape. That's why the Friday night he was saying, once that seed is sown in you, or once that word is sown in you, you see, your mind is a garden. And most people do not know that their mind is a garden and they're reaping the fruit in their everyday life. You see, when you understand divine laws, immutable laws, you discover the law of mentalism, and you'll also discover the law of cause and effect. And when you really understand and master those laws, you'll realize that everything that happening in your life, that you're the cause of it. Because as a man thinketh in his what? Heart. The heart is speaking of your subconscious mind. As you think in the invisible, so shall it be in the visible. So once your belief system is shaped a certain way, unless you're willing to break that way, unless you're willing to question your belief, I am telling you, when your belief to question, you're going to get angry. That's why many people from the Third Exodus Assembly and many people who believe in what they call the message, they were angry at me and they say all kind of manner of evil towards me. But if you look at my life, you see, the big difference. Okay, go back to the older videos and you see when people say, look how you look rusty, this, that. But when you look a certain way, okay, that show that God's favor is in your life, they're not going to comment on that. So, my brother, my sisters, the real exodus is the exodus of emancipation, where you free your mind. It is something that takes place inwardly, not on the outside. You see, everything you see happening on the outside, it's just a reflection of what is going on within. So if you become more responsible for your actions, the things you say, the things you do, if you hold yourself responsible for those things that you say and those things that you do, then you would realize that everything that you're facing in life is based on your thinking. So when you're told that you mustn't be conformed, but you must be transformed by the renewing of your mind, it is basically telling you that the book is a book of mind science. Therefore, if you understand it as a book of mind science, you'll never gossip. You'll never be speaking evil of your fellow brothers and sisters who congregate with you. You'll never cast any form of judgment upon the wall. But you speak the truth to set others free, because it is that same truth of how your thought is what is creating your reality That is what would have set you free. So everything you will ever hear me speak about the third Exodus assembly is to basically to help melanated people to get out of the brainwash, get out of the colonial mentality, get out of worshiping the God of your slave master, and seek your ancestors because their DNA is within you. And so, as I come to a close here, I want to say to you that there is a reason why everywhere you travel in the islands, the people who are at the bottom of the pyramid, most of the time they are melanated people, yet they are the most religious, superstitious people. They are the people who call in more on God than anyone else. And nothing is wrong with you believing in God and calling on God, but not calling on the slave master God that he gave you. That's what I'm talking about. Not calling on white Jesus or believing some man from somewhere in Jerusalem and you not knowing that the real Jerusalem is within you. And if you was to look at for a Jerusalem geographically, you would have to look for it in Africa. Because what they call in Middle East is Africa, and they're lying to you. So my brother, my sisters, there is not coincidence why Africa, the continent of Africa, could feed the entire world. All the things they need for all of the latest invention that people are so enjoying, okay? And they believe it's the white man coming up with all the great science and technology and all the great invention. But all the raw materials and so on, they're taking it out of Africa. And the reason why it seems like it's only certain set of people coming up with these things is because people lack imagination. Because when you become religious and superstitious, you will definitely lack imagination. Okay? And like for example, in my country, there's a sign, there's certain sign you see mark zero hunger and all of these kind of programs that they try to produce to say they're gonna help the people. But you know, it is always better to teach people how to fish than to give them a fish. That is why these charitable organizations, they are setting you up to be a loser. They're setting you up to be a beggar. And they call it charity, but that's not true charity. Okay, charity could keep you in poverty because they want to create in you a beggy mentality. And so even in the islands and so on, the government officials, they're always going and begging also. So the people have this beggy mentality. But I'm saying to you, when you realize that imagination creates reality, you can depend on your imagination to create your reality consciously. But you have to exercise your imagination because your brain is like a muscle. Okay? You have to exercise it so it can grow. And there's the left and the right hemisphere of your brain. Okay, and you have to know how to really get on the right hemisphere of your brain. The parable is in the Bible. It says, throw the net on the right side. Right now, what am I doing? I'm teaching you how to throw the net on the right side. But, of course, the decision is yours. So I'm going to end right here with that. Okay? So I want to see if this is the very first time that I listen to me what I'm saying. If it really makes sense to you, if it really resonates with you. My last encouragement to you is to make sure that you check out all of the links that are down below and let your intuition lead you and guide you into what to do. And if you also want to follow me on an app called Faithia, you can follow me on that app where I go into more in-depth teachings to help you to grow and become the best version of yourself. So with that being said, I just want to say peace, love you all, out.